What you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
The 5th annual Pinehurst Barbecue Festival is right around the corner this Labor Day weekend. The 3-day event in late August features 5 signature events, concluding with the Christopher Prado Pitmaster Invitational on Sunday, August 31st in the iconic village of Pinehurst. 7 of the state's top pitmasters will be on hand for patrons to sample 7 different meats and 7 different southern sides, including brisket, ribs, pork barbecue, smoked crab, and much more. Tickets to all of the events are on sale now at PinehurstBarbecueFestival.com. And remember, to help celebrate the festival's 5th anniversary, purchase a ticket to be entered into a drawing for Tickets for Life. That's right, Tickets for Life. Don't miss one of the top food festivals of the year in North Carolina. Log on to PinehurstBarbecueFestival.com and secure your tickets now. And as we prepare for the 5th annual Pinehurst Barbecue Festival, we continue our conversation with the movers and the shakers behind the big Labor Day get-together in the village of Pinehurst. Today, it's Chad Blackwelder from the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Chad, welcome to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, as we get started here, maybe tell us a little bit about what your role is there at the Department of Agriculture and maybe how you went from an education at Johnson & Wales and a career in the kitchen into your role with an organization that's really closely linked to the food we eat in North Carolina as well as across the country.
Sure. So I started my career in the kitchen. I went to Johnson & Wales and graduated from the Charleston campus in 92. I worked in the industry for about 30 years, owned 4 restaurants, did the whole thing from fine dining to barbecue restaurants to catering to counter service and everything in between. And after I sold my last restaurant in 2014, I got hooked up doing a cooking competition, a statewide cooking competition in North Carolina. Made it to the finals, lost by 0.3 of a point. I'll never forget that fraction. But afterwards, since I just had sold my restaurant, I had some time on my hands, and the organizers of the competition asked me to come on board as their chef referee, which is kind of like the kitchen proctor. I was responsible for, keeping the shelves stocked with local stuff and organizing the chefs and making sure everyone was playing nice and all that good stuff. That competition was sponsored by the Department of Ag, so I got to know them. That led to this, and I've been the food service marketer for about 7 years now. So I kind of am a conduit between chefs, farmers, producers, wholesale distributors to promote and push North Carolina products.
Yeah, great. And I'm sure you know a lot of the folks we've talked to on our podcast, but do you ever miss the restaurant life?
I do a little, but I get to kind of scratch that itch. I still have some chef duties with my role here with the Department of Agriculture. Actually, this past week, I did a really cool Italian dinner with Jamie Davis of the Hackney in Washington. So he's been doing some cool stuff there. So I do get to scratch that itch and also live vicariously through the chefs that I get to work with on a pretty close basis.
Yeah, cool. So looking forward to Pinehurst. What are you most looking forward to about this year's festival?
Man, I would be lying if I didn't say Barbecue Reimagined. I love the whole festival, but that's an event that I developed last year. So this will be the second. This is, would you say, the 5th year of the Barbecue Festival, I believe. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And we've been a sponsor ever since. I kind of got on late the first year. I found out about it kind of late, but really hit it off with the organizers. They're very dialed in and really, really good at what they do. I love the whole weekend, but Barbecue Reimagined is really cool because it's a different take on barbecue. Sunday's fairly traditional. I must say some of the side dishes, the pitmasters and chefs get a little funky, which is cool. Yeah. But Saturday night is all about the funk. So I've asked the chefs to kind of view barbecue through a different lens, be it globally or their own personal take on it or whatever. So, and also we had one of the chefs had to back out, unfortunately, at the last minute due to some staffing issues. So I'm going to be putting the apron back on and doing a dish for Barbecue Reimagined as well.
All right. Well, we're going to talk more about Barbecue Reimagined and the Pinehurst Barbecue Festival again coming up Labor Day weekend, August 29th through the 31st in the village of Pinehurst. Tickets are going fast at pinehurstbarbecuefestival.com. If you don't have them yet, hurry before they sell out, especially for some of those events happening Friday and Saturday, like the Barbecue Reimagined. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But first, a ticket for more interviews with pitmasters participating in this year's festival. Just visit the Low and Slow Barbecue Show online at our website. It's free, lowslowbbqshow.com. You can sign up for our newsletter. We'll send you the lowdown on the latest Carolina barbecue news to your email inbox on Tuesday mornings. You'll also find barbecue blogs, barbecue reviews, and recipes, as well as those interviews with pitmasters from across the Carolinas, including a lot of the participants in this year's Christopher Prieto Pitmasters Invitational. Among them, of course, Christopher Prieto from Prime Barbecue, Adam Hughes from Old Colony Smokehouse, Matthew Register from Southern Smoke Barbecue in Garland, all those guys and more, all at lowslowbbqshow.com. Now, Chad, back to Barbecue Reimagined. Again, you're talking at Saturday night. It's happening from 5:30 to 8 at Beehawk Distillery. You told us a little bit about what it is, but maybe tell us about how it was inspired. How did you kind of light the fire under this event?
I guess from several different angles. We wanted to do, the organizers had tried a few concepts in the past, really good ideas, but I just thought this year, because in the past they'd done a comedy show and concerts and stuff like that, and those are all great pieces, but I wanted to keep it more food related, just with my background and working with chefs and North Carolina products. So the idea was to use a lot of the chefs that we are in close contact with, and some of those chefs are our Got to Be NC chef ambassadors. We sponsor the NCRLA Chef Showdown every year, and the winners from that event become our chef and beverage ambassador. So I wanted to find another vehicle for them to be able to showcase their talents. So that was kind of the start of Barbecue Reimagined. It's just kind of grown since then.
Yeah. So what can folks expect when they come out on Saturday night?
So first of all, a really cool environment. We're going to, like you said, we'll be at Beehawk Distilling. If you've never been there before, it's awesome. They've spared no expense. It's veteran owned. They make great whiskeys. Their rye is incredible. It's a beautiful facility. So we're going to stage the event. It'll be a series of chef stations set up strategically through the distillery. So attendees can get kind of a tour, a casual tour if they want, and kind of see, the barreling room and the rick room and where they char the barrels and all that cool stuff. So they'll get to see a lot of the property. And again, try some really cool food. There's going to be 8 chefs. So we'll have 5 savory chefs and 3 dessert chefs. And then we are going to be pairing a different little Beehawk taste with each course along the way. So it'll be kind of like a little bourbon and food trail, if you will.
Yeah, very neat. So I go to pinehurstbarbecuefestival.com, just look under festival events and find Barbecue Reimagined. And you've got all the chefs there, all 8 of them. And I see you on the list there, Chad Blackwelder. Tell me what you're going to be bringing, what's on your menu, and how you came up with that.
So we'll always start with farmers. That was kind of my approach when I had restaurants, was to build that, network of farmers to make sure I'm getting really, really good food on the plate. So I'm going to be partnering with Terrace Ridge Farms. They're in Cameron, North Carolina. And actually I'm in Sanford, so I'm not far from Pinehurst. So I'm really close to Cameron as well. And Matthew, the owner, is a really good dude. So I'm going to be using some of his London broil and doing a char siu, which is kind of a Chinese barbecue with 5 spice and hoisin and those kind of flavors. So I'll be doing, grilling those and be doing little lettuce wraps. I'm going to make a North Carolina peanut chili crunch to go with that, and some pickled local veggies and some other little goodies, little crunchy stuff to go on top.
Yeah, wow, that sounds wonderful. And looking at the menu, and hopefully you're familiar with it, anything that stands out that you can't wait to see or you're excited for folks to experience?
At the Barbecue Reimagined itself.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. I was looking at the menu earlier today. Everything looks really good. This is a great group of chefs. You've got my boy Benito Cantaran. He is the taco master, so he's going to be doing some cool tacos with some local suckling pig. Matt Hannon from Ashton's always brings the heat for sure. We've got a great lineup of pastry chefs. Ty Whitaker, who's been a state champion in dessert competitions before. Monica from Masonette is super talented and some local flavor there. Preeti Was, who was a James Beard nominated chef in Durham. Mm-hmm. She is from Southern India and she does really incredible food, but she got her start in doing desserts and pastries. So I kind of challenged her to go back to her roots to do something cool. And she's doing a really cool kind of a Indian inspired chai, dark chocolate s'more kind of dessert, a little like toasted marshmallow. So I'm looking forward to all those. Luke Owens from Greenville, he always does cool stuff. I think he's doing a pork tartlet with some, I think a pickled collard green relish. He always does really interesting stuff. He did a cool dish last year that had roast pork with a pork crackling chili crunch on it. Yeah, so he's always thinking outside the box. So, and that's the whole idea about this dinner is to take barbecue and just think outside the box and do something that people aren't really expecting out of it. So, and a couple of the dessert chefs are using Beehawk whiskey in their desserts, like a whiskey caramel sauce, and that sounds pretty damn good to me. So it's going to be a fun night. Lots of cool food.
Yeah, not pulled pork or burnt ends or brisket or any of that stuff. We're looking at smoked swordfish banh mi from Matt Hannon. You mentioned the pork mousse tartlet from Luke Owens and pretty s'mores pie, sweet corn milk, New York style cheesecake. Lots of great stuff that's just not your typical barbecue thing. How do you feel like this will go over with the audiences of people who are maybe a little bit more attuned to traditional barbecue?
Last year when we were kind of putting this together, I was wondering about that. And so last year we had a sellout crowd, and I think we were already halfway sold out for this year. So you guys make sure you go to the website and secure your tickets. I think we got about 100 more to sell. Okay. I think we're going to cap it at around 200 people. So that way everyone has a good experience as the chefs have fun and they can put the food they want to put on plates. I kind of lost track of your question. I'm sorry. I kind of got on a tangent there.
That's okay. It's great for traditional barbecue folks. How do you feel like they'll respond to this?
Yeah, the expectation. So last year it was really, really good. We had people who, the title kind of gives it away. So we had a lot of people who were like, "Oh, this sounds like a cool idea. We get to see barbecue through a different lens." And then we had some folks there who kind of came with the person who got their tickets and they were like, "Well, I wasn't sure," but everyone really loved it. Like a lot of the chefs sold out really early, and I got a chance to walk around the venue and talk to a lot of people, and there were a lot of smiling faces, wiping sauce off their mouth. So I think everyone had a really good time, and hopefully we'll get a similar reaction this year.
Yeah, that sounds great. Now, you mentioned Beehawk Distillery, and it sounds like folks will get kind of a tour of the place as they're going around and enjoying each of the dish. But maybe tell us a little bit more about the distillery and how you got connected with those guys.
Yeah, so I work closely with a group of guys called Tidewater Grain Company. They brought back Carolina Gold rice to North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been working with those guys for about 7 years now, and they're a zero waste operation. So a lot of how they accomplish that is by malting their grains for distillery use. So they actually introduced me to the Beehawk guys. And I went down there, I guess about a year ago, and toured the place and met with the owners and had to make sure they were legit. So I got me a bottle of their rye, and they are legit. It's really, really, really good. It's got a nice spice to it. But anyway, I met them through Tidewater, and they actually were our liquor sponsor this year. We do a chef's retreat every year, a chef field trip to Tidewater Grain Company to learn about rice production in the Pamlico Sound and commercial fishing and that sort of thing. So at this point, we have a really good relationship with Beehawk, and they were on board with hosting us there. And they've been super generous with their time and helping us to kind of get the layout of this event right and kind of develop what we had already had a good thing going. I think it's going to be even better this year. Sandhills was very gracious in hosting us last year at the Student Center. I think this is going to be a great event this year, but the Beehawk folks are really good people to work with.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, it stands for Brad Halling American Whiskey Co., and they're in Southern Pines. You can learn more about them at hallingwhiskey.com. That's HALLING whiskey.com. So it sounds like it'll be a great event there at the distillery. Let's talk a little bit more about the Department of Agriculture and how you guys got involved with the Pinehurst Barbecue Festival. How did you get involved and why?
I'm trying to, I was thinking about that the other day, and one of Oh, it was Jeremy Bivens, who is one of the chefs at US Foods. He's a buddy of mine. He's one of their corporate chefs, and does really good work. And him and I were at, I think, one of the Chef Showdown regional rounds, and he was talking about it and then was like, "Hey, you need to get in with these guys." And I was like, "Okay, well, connect me with them." So he did, and we started talking. So I got in on the first year at a pretty low sponsorship level just to kind of test the waters. But I saw what they were doing, and I saw how ambitious they were. And I worked with a lot of festivals. Some of them work out great. Some of them can go sideways. And these guys did not let that happen. I saw how well they handled themselves and handled things and their sponsors, and like how they handled sponsorship activation. I felt like I got a lot of bang for my buck with the department dollars. So we kept, just moving forward every year after that and increasing our partnership level and expanding our footprint there. So this year, and part of our activation was trying to develop, a footprint at the festival for Got to Be NC, and that turned out to be a vendor pavilion. So this year we have, I think we're up to like 40 of our Got to Be NC vendors where people can come in that sort of green area in downtown Pinehurst where they have the concerts and stuff. We'll be right behind Prime Barbecue's set up there. So it's a great opportunity for guests to kind of get a little bit of shade and do some shopping and taste and buy some local products, and not just sauces. We'll have some sauce vendors there, but it's a rightly so, it's a sauce heavy event. So we've made sure we've included some other vendors that dovetail well with the barbecue concept, but are bringing some different products to the table.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, maybe tell us a little bit about what is the Got to Be NC program, and why does this really make a nice connection between the barbecue festival and that event or the organization?
Yeah. So I think that our partnership with festivals is a great way to expand that Got to Be NC footprint. So Got to Be NC is our statewide identity program for everything that's caught, grown, raised, or made in North Carolina. So we want people to see more of those signage, right? When they're out in public shopping and, out with their families, be it at a farmer's market or a distillery or a winery or a grocery store or a restaurant or, whatever the case may be. When you see that sign, you know that they have been vetted. They've gone through a application process, and they are serving North Carolina products there. Some of them are serving 5 to 10%. Some of them are serving 70 to 80%, and everything in between. And, that can be like, say End of Days Distilling. They use Carolina grown and malted grains. They're a Got to Be NC member. Ashton's in Southern Pines, Ashton's restaurant, they're a Got to Be NC member. Matt sources a lot of stuff from North Carolina. So it can be on a lot of different levels. A lot of people, who want to be a part of the program, they're like, well, I'm not sure if I'm serving North Carolina products. Like a lot of more high volume places, breakfast places. But I tell them if they're serving chicken, turkey, milk, and eggs, it's coming from North Carolina. Yeah. If they're getting bacon, more than likely it's coming from North Carolina. So there are ways where they can be a part of the program, have a place on our website and on our register, and get our newsletters and that sort of thing, so we can keep them abreast of opportunities all over the state.
Yeah. So you mentioned the newsletter and the opportunities across the state, but what are the other benefits that a participant might have, particularly when it comes to the larger population of North Carolina? What is it for folks to see that Got to Be NC tag out there?
Yeah. So another part of that is we also supply like electronic versions of our logo, so people can put the Got to Be NC branding on their labels and stuff. So a lot of people who are, have a item that's in distribution or they're self-distributing, that can be part of their identity as well. That they're part of the Got to Be NC family, and that label is, going to have North Carolina products on it and in that product as well.
Yeah. So obviously barbecue, big business in the state of North Carolina, as well as all those folks you mentioned, the turkey, the chicken, the milk and eggs, and the pork, of course. Our buddy Master Blend Family Farms down in Kenansville, I know, is involved in that and producing pork there. Hey, as somebody from the agriculture department, how do you feel like the barbecue business is important to the state's larger agricultural business climate?
Yeah, I think they go hand in hand. I think that people, when they think of North Carolina, the pork and sweet potatoes are the first two things, and
Yeah.
you see those in a lot of barbecue restaurants. And the fact that barbecue has obviously had a renaissance here recently. And the last restaurant I had was kind of barbecue focused. It wasn't traditional, but it was kind of it allowed us to do other things with the menu. Like the barbecue was kind of foot in the door for people. And then we kind of did some other sort of, contemporary Southern things. But it's cool to see that resurgence of barbecue of all different kinds of styles. And I just think that brings more awareness to the state and what we're doing. More, this better than anybody. 20 years ago, you didn't see pork butt in Texas and you didn't see brisket in North Carolina.
Right.
It's cool to see that cross-pollination now. And, now the Carolina history spreads to Texas and vice versa. So, every state has their traditions and signatures, and that's kind of what, helps put them on the national stage. I don't think it's any different for North Carolina.
Yeah. So let's get back to Pinehurst and talk about that for a moment. You've been involved for several years now. It sounds like all 5 or so. What do you enjoy most about the Pinehurst experience?
Gosh, it's just such a fun event. I think I've been to almost all the events at this point, from bourbon and bites to Chris's cooking classes on Saturday. And I've known Chris for a while. He's a good dude. I used to work with his brother, Nelson. We used to cook together. He's a really good guy. So I always like seeing those guys there, obviously. The camaraderie, I know a lot of the chefs and pit masters already. So we get to kind of catch up and, you just kind of network a little bit. And I have a connection to Pinehurst. I worked in Pinehurst a long time ago, even before I went to culinary school. When I graduated from culinary school, my first job was at Pinehurst Country Club. So, and we're not far away. My wife and I still go down there, and we have friends down there, and we go down there and eat at a lot of our favorite restaurants. So that tie to Pinehurst is also really cool. But just all the events they just make sense. They're a lot of fun. They're dynamic, they're interactive. You're going to get great food and great beverages there. It's a well-run event. Everyone's going to have a blast. I know some of the events are 21 and older. The event on Sunday is very family friendly. Everybody can come and enjoy that. It's a great day. The first couple of years, there were some issues with some of the lines bottlenecking and that sort of thing. But Peter and Dave, the organizers, they added a few more, pit masters to the lineup. So that keeps the lines going a little bit better. So every year they dial it in and get better. So I recommend everyone take advantage of that and come check out the fifth year of the Pinehurst Barbecue Festival.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Barbecue Reimagined is something you're looking forward to. If you take that out of the list and look at the Pitmaster Invitational or the High on the Hog Dinner, Q School Grilling Class, Bourbon and Bites, what else are you looking forward to?
Oh man, the Invitational Sunday is a great day, just because there's so much food there. There's so much to do. There's a lot of vendors there. There's a lot of beverage vendors there, both non-alcoholic and non-alcoholic. There's plenty of stuff for the kids. The High on the Hog Dinner is really, really cool. And I think, I'm not sure, I don't have the website up in front of me now, but I know Adam in the past has done it. I can't remember if is he doing it this year?
It's Matthew Register. Yep. We had him on the show last week, and he's got a super menu there for the High on the Hog Dinner.
Yeah, it looks really good. Okay, cool. So this is Matthew's first year doing it. And it's a great venue. It's a great location. I would recommend people going to check that out as well. A lot of these, Matthew included, these are pretty killer chefs on top of being pit masters as well. So this event kind of gives them a chance to sort of flex those chef muscles in concert with the pit master muscles also. So that's what else, that's another thing that really helps to elevate this event is like, you got some serious culinary talent.
Yeah, that's cool. So I want to get a little bit of scoop action from you, Chad. If you're living down near Pinehurst, where are your favorite places to eat? Say I'm coming down there early or staying late for the Labor Day weekend. Where's a place I need to check out to eat?
Well, definitely Be Hawk. They have a great distillery there and a tasting room. They also have it's a small menu, but it's a really good menu. Pairs well with their with their liquor offerings. Ashton's is one of my favorite places. I've known Matt for a long time. Chef Warren's, there's a couple of food truck parks down here that are really, really great. It's in this area in general, from Sanford to Southern Pines area, we have a strong Hispanic community with a lot of great Hispanic restaurants, little mom and pop places. So I always encourage people to go, explore those places and check those out. If you're a golfer, then, this is heaven for you. There's plenty of places here to go hit the links. And it's so, there's so much to do down here. It's not a big area, but it's packed full of amenities, from, walking trails to great restaurants and breweries. James Creek Cider House is down there. We do a lot of events down there. They're great people, not far from the Southern Pines area. So I don't think people will run out of stuff to do. There's just a lot of great places down here, and more places that open up all the time. So it's really exciting to be kind of sandwiched in between Southern Pines and Pinehurst in the Raleigh area. It keeps us busy, because Sanford can get a little quiet sometimes.
Yeah. And so on the same scoop topic, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. What's new coming down the pipe for Got to Be NC and the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Sciences here in North Carolina?
Man, there's always a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm learning stuff all the time about what we do in the state. I have those kind of gotcha moments. I don't know if that's the right term or not, but at least once a week where I'm like, wow, I didn't know that we did that here in North Carolina, from people making incredible miso to rice being brought back into production, all kinds of stuff. But as far as me and my events, obviously Pinehurst, we're looking forward to that. And right behind that, we have the Seafood Festival in Morehead City, the biggest festival in the state. So we have a chef's tent for that. We're getting chefs lined up to be doing demos for the whole weekend. We've developed a new dinner for that called Sea to Summit, where we're going to have Western North Carolina chefs coming down to Morehead to cook with some Down East chefs. And we're going to raise money for Western North Carolina and for commercial fishermen in Eastern North Carolina.
Awesome.
So that's going to be killer food and raising money for really good causes. And then we've got the state fairs coming up. We have, I don't think a lot of people realize this, but we have a mountain state fair that's in Fletcher, that's in September, which is a month before the longer and bigger version of the state fair there in Raleigh. And for that, we take over the Dorton Arena and turn it into the Got to Be NC Pavilion. And I invite people to come into the pavilion. We've got vendors sampling and selling. You've got the North Carolina beer thing up there. We have a demo stage. So we'll have chefs from all over the state there for 2 weeks doing demos, 2 and 3 a day, depending on the day. So a lot of cool stuff coming up. And then the holidays, and then we'll get cranked up next year for the spring season. So it's always something going on.
Yeah, of course, holidays bring Christmas tree season. A lot of that coming on in the western part of the state where I'm at. If you want to check out stuff, it's all at ncagr.gov. Look for programs, look for services, find out more about the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Before we wrap up, Chad, I put all our pit masters on the spot and ask them this question to kind of wrap up most of our episodes. I'll put it to you as well. You're very enthusiastic about this event, and it sounds like about what you do in the food world here in North Carolina. What keeps your fire burning? Why do you do it?
I just the love of food, really, and chefs and farmers. I mean, I did it for so long, and it's just been ingrained in me. And those are just my people. I love making those connections, and also, a lot of events we do is having a demo stage where we have a chef and a farmer on stage at the same time. And I think it's really important for the audience to be the fly on the wall to hear those stories. I mean, it's I tell this to people, after working with Tidewater Rice Company for almost 7 years now, I don't look at a simple bowl of rice as a simple bowl of rice anymore. It takes a lot to put food on the table. So I like for people to hear those conversations. And just to add to what you said, for all the folks listening out there, you can check out the Consumer Ag website that Chigger was just talking about, but also go to the Got to Be NC website, and it has lots of cool stuff. You can punch the find local button, and you can type in your area or what product you're looking for, and a bunch of farms will pop up in your area. And also check out the Visit Farms app, Visit NC Farms app. That's also through the Department of Ag. And as you're traveling around the state, you can find cool places to take your family to shop for local, or find a corn maze or a pumpkin patch or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and it's almost that time of year when we have the big corn mazes and the pumpkin patch. We love to do that around the Hickory Metro in Western North Carolina. And here I am. I see Fresh Market Produce popped up there when I type in Hickory, Ham's Restaurants, Hickory's Nut Gap Meats, all kinds of good stuff. Go in the search, and that website has got to be nc.com. Chad, as a final word, thanks so much for joining us today.
I really appreciate you having me, man. Thank you so much.
Of course, Chad's with the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. And like I said, part of the brain power behind the success of the Pinehurst Barbecue Festival. It's coming up Labor Day weekend, August 29th through the 31st in the village of Pinehurst. Tickets are available at pinehurstbarbecuefestival.com. You've been listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show on the Mesh.tv network of podcasts. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast stream. Share our podcast with your food-loving friends, and be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can see our photos and videos of our barbecue adventures there on Instagram and YouTube as well. Don't forget, when you visit lowslowbbqshow.com, you can sign up for a free newsletter and get the latest barbecue news delivered to your inbox on Tuesday mornings. Thanks again to our guest today, Chad Blackwelder from North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Thanks as well to the whole team at the Mesh.tv network of podcasts, especially our producer, Andrew Moose. Lots of fun things going on at the Hum in Hickory all season long. Got some other concerts coming up on September. If I can clear my throat, I can say finally, thank you for listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. Remember, for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, make it low and slow.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.